Good morning, Dreamhouse Nation. This is James Lewis of This Dream House, the show that is all about the house. We are excited for another great show. And of course, we're always excited by our sponsor, Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom, with many locations in the Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana area. Joining us today is our guest, Shane Newman from Dry Shield Waterproofing. We'll be discussing how waterproofing a home can turn it into the house of your dreams. Shane, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So
I'm Shane.
I'm sorry.
Shane Newman from Cincinnati Dry Shield.
Excellent. So Shane, tell us a little bit about Cincinnati Dry Shield.
So we're a basement waterproofing company. We do water mitigation and waterproof your basement, your garage, your slab, your crawl space. Just basically getting water away from the house, getting it out away from the yard, keeping everything dry.
Nice. So about how long have you all been in business?
Been in business for a little over 13 years.
Excellent. So plenty of experience. There's probably nothing that you haven't seen.
No, we've seen it all.
Awesome. So how did it all get started 13 years ago?
Well, me and my dad started with a bigger company. We were both working for a larger waterproofing company. He was working sales. I was working the crews, and we both said to ourselves, why don't we break off and start our own business? And that's what we ended up doing. And it was a good idea because it's been pretty good to us and for the customers that we've done work for, keeping everything at a good price for them. And it's been good.
That is awesome. So it's a family business.
Yes, a small family business.
Awesome. We love having guests on our show that do family business because we feel that you get much better customer service and that you care more about your clients than just a big business does.
Right. Absolutely.
So how has the company grown and evolved over the years?
Well, we started off with just a couple guys, just me and my dad, and we'd get family members to help out here and there. And then over the years, we've grown into a couple crews, and we've got more work equipment and spread word of mouth out there, get our name out. It was pretty rough starting out. That was back at around 2009 when the housing market crash had just happened. So it was really rough start. And then once we got our name out there, we do a lot of work with flippers and, people flipping houses and realtors. It just took off from there.
That is awesome. So constant business, because I mean, people that are flipping, people that are realtors are always going into new homes and are always going to need that nice dry home.
Yes. Yeah. It's really hard to sell a house when it's got water intrusion.
So where is Cincinnati Dry Shield located?
So we're based on the west side of Cincinnati. So, Delhi area. That's where we're out of. But we cover the whole tri-state area of Cincinnati.
Nice. What are your typical hours of operation?
Usually from 9 to 5, but we will take calls all the way up to 9 o'clock. So we're not like a company that just shuts off at 5 o'clock and you can't get a hold of us. You can call us anytime. Call us on weekends, in the evening, anytime. We'll answer.
Excellent. So it's all about communication, and you guys are definitely going above and beyond, it sounds like.
Yes.
Speaking of that, how is the best way for the Dreamhouse Nation to contact you? You mentioned by phone, but what's the number they should call?
It's 513-364-4146. That's our business number.
Now, of course, business like yours, you've been in business 13 years. You're probably licensed and insured, I'm guessing?
Yes. Yeah, the first year or two, we didn't have any of that. And then once we started getting the bigger jobs, more work, we got all that covered.
And which states are you covered in?
Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana.
Oh, nice. So anywhere that's listening to us can take a part in your services.
Yes.
Excellent. And are you a member of the BHA?
We are not. I didn't realize what that was, and I looked it up the other day, and that we aren't. But I'll have to look into that.
I tried to become a member of the Honky Tonk Bar Association, but unfortunately I was declined, so I was disappointed in that information.
Okay.
That's a country song, nothing. What services do you offer?
So we do interior systems, exterior systems. Interiors like sump pumps, crack injections, drain tile around the perimeter of the basement. It's installed underneath the floor. We do a lot of foundation support, bowed walls, exterior systems. We dig along the foundation, and it's basically like putting in an underground gutter. It's just catching the water and rerouting it somewhere else, getting it away from the house. We reroute a lot of downspouts. We do driveway drains. We do French drains, window well drains. So yeah, that's pretty much the meat of it.
So it sounds like you all are very versatile, and anything that our listeners would need water-wise, you can take care of, getting rid of the water.
Yes.
Nice. So what causes water problems?
So the main cause would be the rain. When it rains, every house is built into a clay bowl. Some are built on slabs, which don't usually have problems. But the houses that are built in the clay bowls that have basements, that bowl fills up. It's called the water table. And if there's not something in place in the basement to get that water out, that water pressure, it's called hydrostatic pressure, pushes in through any weak spots in the foundation walls, up through the floor. So if the foundation was poorly built or there has been constant erosion, that water is going to find its way into the basement. And that basement floor, it's not bonded to the wall. So when they pour the foundation walls, then they come in and they pour the floor, that gap in between there is not bonded together. So that's a really popular spot for water to push up through.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that does seem like that would be a problem. What are some of the issues that come with a damp, musty, or moldy area?
So musty mold in the basement, that's never a good thing for your health. One, causes respiratory problems. It can deteriorate the wood joist if you've got wood that's exposed to moisture, mold around that area where the water's coming in. It's just going to weaken the wood. Eventually, you're going to have to replace the wood. Let's say you got a finished basement, got mold on the carpet, mold behind the drywall. You're just looking at a lot of health problems later on down the road.
Wow. So it's better to call you all ahead of time, get that problem taken care of, as opposed to waiting on it, because it sounds like when you wait, there's just more issues that come up.
Right. Yeah, it only gets worse. It does not get better on its own.
So what is the difference between a basement and a crawl space?
So a crawl space is a smaller area. It's usually anywhere from 1 to 3 feet in space in between the floor joist or the main floor and what is supposed to be a basement. It's just a smaller area, where a basement is something that you can stand up in. It's about anywhere from 6 to 8 feet tall. But we do the crawl spaces too. It's just, it's a smaller area. Most people use it for storage. Just keep in mind that you probably should get a vapor barrier and a sump pump in there before you would think about using that for storage. And that goes back to the mold and mildew. Mm-hmm. A lot of times crawl space will get wet, and then the moisture from in there will get up in the floor joist and start rotting away the floor joist. So.
Okay. So like the basement is typically more usable space, but if they work with you, then they're able to turn the crawl space into usable space as well, it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely.
So, what solutions do you offer to help homeowners?
Well, we offer the interior and exterior systems, but we only suggest doing where you're having the problem. We're not like the other bigger companies where we try to sell you a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need. We just try to get what you need and take care of the problem where it's at instead of doing an overkill job and having you reach in your pockets to pay a bunch of stuff that you don't need.
Exactly. So you're trying to solve their problems and not try to gouge them, it sounds like.
Right.
And then do you use like any particular chemicals, solutions, or anything like that to solve the problems?
The only chemicals we use is a spray for a brick sealer, block sealer. A lot of times the water will penetrate mortar on the brick outside of the home. It'll seep into the brick, and we do use chemicals on that to basically what it is a film that makes the water beat up instead of soaking into the mortar. And you wouldn't even know it's there. It's not glossy. It just goes on clear, and it looks like it wasn't even there. So a lot of people ask me about that. They're like, "Oh, is it going to be shiny or glossy?" But it looks normal.
So it sounds like it's not very intrusive, and it sounds like it's something you've been using for a long time, so you know it works, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we still use it.
So tell us about the tools that you use or the techniques that you use. You mentioned about the digging and different other things.
So first thing, if we're working inside someone's home, we always put down plastic. We wrap stuff up. It can be dusty. Water can get splattered a little bit. So we put down drop cloths. We put down carpet shield. We wrap everybody's stuff up just so it keeps that from getting dusty. Then we bring the jackhammers in. We jackhammer wherever we're servicing. That's for the inside. Once we have the floor jackhammered up, we bring in our 5-gallon buckets, dig it up, throw it in the buckets, get it out, bring in the drain tile, the sump liner, bring all that in, install it, put the gravel in, reconcrete the floor. If we're doing the outside system, we either dig with hand tools, trenching shovels, spades, picks, or sometimes we have to bring in an excavator or a backhoe or a dingo to do the bigger stuff for us.
So the main thing is that you have the tools of the trade. So like if there is something that you need, you probably already have it readily available. It's not like some places where you have to order it in and, that kind of thing. You guys, it sounds like you were on top of it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. We usually get that stuff a week in advance. We've got different storage sheds we keep most of our stuff in. So we make sure we're pretty stocked so we don't have to disappoint a customer by saying, "Hey, this hasn't been in stock in a while and we can't do this, so now we have to move on to something else, try a different solution." We make sure we have everything readily available so we can get the job done.
One of the great things about your company is I understand that you're all about future proofing, so that way they don't have any other issues. How are you able to do that?
So what we do is take a look around and look at all the possible causes of where water could come into the house. And we always start with the gutters, the downspouts. That's number one. Start there. Then we'll take a look at where the water's coming in from on the inside. Usually we'll go a little further than that spot just to take care of the any excess areas where other potential water could come in. And we also communicate with the homeowner along the process. Sometimes waterproofing can be a process. And like I said earlier, we don't try to sell a bunch of stuff that the homeowner doesn't need. But sometimes we have had to add on for customers extra stuff later on down the road, just Like we get these really dry seasons, and the dirt will pull away from the foundation. And then we get the monsoon rains, and it's just like opening the floodgates, and then water can come in from a different spot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, I know one of the things that our listeners are very interested in are warranties. How long are your warranties?
So we have lifetime transferable warranties, which kind of separates us from other companies. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. It's not limited. Any spot that we service is guaranteed. It's warranted. We do a 3-year warranty on the sump pumps. It's a mechanical item. So anything else that we service, it's lifetime transferable. So you go to sell your home, that warranty goes on to the new homeowner.
That is awesome that you all stand behind your product so much that you do lifetime. I mean, that is definite confidence in your work.
Yes.
How do you come up with your price quotes?
So we base it off of what some of the bigger companies were charging, and then we cut it about a third of what the bigger companies are charging people. And that way we stay very competitive. We're still making money. The homeowner's saving money. Everybody's happy.
Wow, that's awesome. We love win-win situations, and it sounds like it's definite that way for your clients because, like you said, you're cutting it a third, but you're still being able to employ people and keep the doors running or keep the lights on. So, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a win-win situation and sounds like something that would be great for our listeners.
Right.
So what does your price typically include?
It's material, labor, and that's pretty much it. Just material and labor. That's all there is to it. The warranty doesn't require any cost. We don't charge people for driving to and from the job. So yeah, it's just labor and material or for the job.
Nice. So in other words, like other places where they nickel and dime you, you guys don't do that kind of stuff.
No.
Now you mentioned on occasion there could be an additional charge. What type of things could be additional?
So additional charges would be if we had to add something later. Let's say we rerouted downspouts because a customer didn't want to do an inside system or a sump pump, and then we got a big monsoon. And rerouting the downspouts does its job, but there's still water pressure coming up through the floor. Say, hey, let's do a sump pump. So we do the sump pump. Let's say there's no gravel under the floor. There's just clay. Now that water moves better when there's gravel under the floor. So a lot of times we could put a sump pump in a basement, and the homeowner won't need drain tile if there's gravel under there. If there's clay, then most likely we have to extend drain tile to the sump pump wherever that water's coming in from. So if we were to do a sump pump, someone would pay for a sump pump. A couple weeks later, they're getting water 10 feet away from the sump pump. Usually means there's clay under the floor, and we need to take 10 feet of drain tile and run it to the sump pump. So that would just be an additional charge. So, like I said, it's a process, but it's saving the customer money. But it's just a matter of time before we get it all figured out.
Oh, okay. So there's only additional cost if there's additional work. So it's not like, like I said, in other places where they're trying to throw in extra fees or anything like that. You guys are really just going above and beyond.
Yep. We try to do that to keep everybody happy and stay reputable so people pass our name on.
Now, you have a pretty good staff. Tell us about your team that works for you.
So right now we have two crews, about 4 guys. We got 8 guys total, including myself. And then we've got 2 sales guys. My dad does sales as well. He runs the company. I do I'm the productions manager. So I do pretty much anything you need. Sometimes I'll be running sales. And yeah, we got about 10 guys that do work for us.
Nice. So you got a good, strong team that's probably been with you a while, and it sounds like you wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
So where is the best place for our listeners to find reviews?
You can go on Google, Facebook, Yelp. We do have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, so we are accredited on there. So you can find any of our reviews on there.
And then do you have a spot where they can see the portfolio of your work?
Facebook mainly.
Excellent. So it sounds like a lot of great things that you guys got going on. Could you tell us about a recent job that you've done?
Well, most of our jobs in the past 2 weeks have been inside systems. So we've done probably 5 sump pumps in the past 2 weeks and a lot of drain tile. But we usually get them done pretty quick. It's usually about a sump pump takes a day. If you're adding drain tile, we can do anywhere up to 50 feet in 2 days, including a sump pump. And yeah.
Excellent. Well, Shane, it has been a pleasure having Cincinnati Dry Shield as a guest on our show. Before we let you all go, where on social media, where on the web, where can we find out more about you?
Come check us out on Facebook, Cincinnati Dry Shield Waterproofing.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.